Hey everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough Innovation. With us today is my co-host Preston Chandler and our guest Will Schmahl, who is a seasoned entrepreneur and founder, challenging the traditional model in the travel tech industry. Will's entrepreneurial journey began early. He sold his first business to a zoo at 17, and then later he spent a decade at AOL where he became the youngest VP in the company's history. His career spans advertising, real estate, blockchain, and travel tech. And now he's leaning into a new wave of innovation in the travel space. As the founder of HouseMthr, Will is leveraging AI, machine learning in ways that have been largely overlooked by travel tech, focusing on real-time, on-trip, in-stay solutions that enhance and protect travelers' experiences. Today, we'll dive into how technology can reshape the guest experience, disrupt the travel industry, and challenge the status quo. So if that sounds good to you, you're in the right place. Will, thanks for being here. We're really excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
So I think maybe to dive right in, what was the inspiration for HouseMthr, and talk a little bit about the gap you're filling in the travel industry?
Sure. So for probably my whole entire life, my family's been, seasonal renters of houses, beach houses, and mostly out in Long Island, New York. So that growing up with that, lifestyle, and then also as I went into my adult experience of just traveling with my friends or family, I stayed with renting houses during, the summer, and also, during the winter, going to the Poconos and stuff like that. And I was always the planner within my friend or family group. So managing what's going on, booking the place, collecting the money, making sure that everyone had, the list of what they were bringing for the week, right? And there was always, a need for just organizing that, and the tools that were used are spreadsheets and, Splitwise and all these other things. Looking back at just every summer that I experienced with my friends, I was like, oh, why isn't there an app for this? And then, fast forward or jump back during COVID, to escape my small apartment in Manhattan, I actually went with my partner to the house that we had off season out on Fire Island. I didn't realize at the time that my partner actually was going through some mental health issues. And we basically, I experienced a very tragic, life-changing experience where he actually passed away out there. And in that moment of an island that I knew so well, it just shifted to, a place that I've been going to my whole life became just an island, right? And I didn't have access to anything, didn't know how to get help, right, in the situation. So that made me realize, after the fact of, dealing with the trauma, obviously, but that the travel tech industry is not on trip with you or in stay, and providing guests and vacationers with the ability to not only help themselves but get help and support. So HouseMthr was really created, number one, to provide a suite of tools that allows groups and friends to manage the things that happen during traveling together, but also to support them in a life-changing occurrence or something just to enhance their trip. So, we're right now, what's in the app stores is the full suite of tools, expenses, share calendar, assign rooms, right? The perfect use case is a multi-week seasonal rental, but it really is can be used for any type of travel or trip. And what we're doing now is raising funding to basically, enable the modeling we've been building on AI and machine learning to have a companion that will not only tell you you're 2 blocks from the best picture in the destination you're at, but, you could SOS the app. It'll keep you aware. It'll keep you protected. The goal is to be a guest app, not only for B2C, but, license our platform out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I love it. And first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your loss. That can never be an easy thing to deal with. But I do like how you're channeling it into something productive and to help others. I think that's one good way to take it and something horrible and turn it into something maybe slightly less horrible.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. It's interesting because as I talk to every person, I'll take any meeting I can just to, tell them about what I'm working on. Everyone always has a reference or something that they'll say, oh, I could have used it, or I'm going on this trip. It'll be perfect for this, right? So there's a very valid use case. I mean, even though travel, average user goes on 3 to 6 trips a year, right? But those occurrences really for an app can be we're the first people who actually focused on only guests, no operators, and we're 100% about, making their trip enhanced, safe, and also providing them with tools. And that's a huge, difference for the travel tech industry, right? They've been so focused on the pre-trip. They're applying AI, to the same old thing, which is pre-trip booking, right? And actually getting to traveler wallets. So, that's the difference between us and, the industry right now.
So kind of just linking to that, how are you planning to use AI and machine learning differently in service of the customer themselves, the traveler themselves, instead of the industry?
Yeah. So if you look at like anything that Google or Expedia that they're applying it to, most of the items are related to sales they've already done. So you've done your booking, your accommodation, you've done your tours, what have you, through Expedia, TripAdvisor, and they're applying AI and machine learning to changes or adjusting those things, right? So it's raining. Now we're going to give you indoors versus outdoors, just easy one-step applications, right? So what we're doing with machine learning and AI is, we're collecting a lot of data, and because we're only focused on the guests, and, we did that strategy on purpose so that when we're actually using data that's in the shared chat and through interactions that we're doing with users, we can actually provide them with same day or real time triggers or activations that would enhance their trip, give them items that would actually be applied. We'll give you a perfect use case. So say if you have a group that's going to a beach house for the week, right? And you have a shared list of things that you're buying as far as from stores or what you need for the week. If you're the last group that's headed to the house and you still have items on the list, we're using machine learning and AI to let that person know that, hey, there's still this item on the list. You still have a half hour before the ferry that you're going to, the island, and here's a store where you could get it from, and this actually place is the most affordable, right? So, those are things that we're doing like that, as well as just being able to tell users that there's emergencies, that are going on, plugging into, emergency broadcast systems, or you could, we have a proactive, way we're looking or using AI where we're proactively, really looking at data, preferences of the group and individual users and enhancing their trip.
How are you identifying the next thing users want? So you've got a lot of features now. How are you engaging with your customers, users, anyone else to kind of identify this is the next gap we're going to fill?
Yeah. So far this past year, since we launched in April in a pilot, specifically, at one destination to make sure that we could, adopt those users and then rinse and repeat that. So what we did first with that pilot group is that we did interviews, surveys, right? Collected the data on, what their feedback was. And then we built out use cases for things that went wrong or things that we could improve on their trip. And we're doing that with users that sign up, right? So because we're really focused on the initial user being the planner that then adds everyone that's on that trip, right? Or that, for that group in the app, we are using them as the conduit to really make them happy, and everyone else has to join the app, right? But we're collecting that user feedback. We built out 276 cases right now that are safety and reward, right? There's mitigation, we call them, which are just use cases of enhancing the trip. Yeah.
Awesome. So, and it sounds like you're collecting a lot of, I don't want to say strictly personal, but location data, things like that. How are you maintaining that security, privacy, while you're also improving the guest experience? How do you strike that right balance?
Well, first off, as I mentioned, the privacy or because we're focused on only the guests, that was really important for me because, our first target is really short-term rental users over hotels or resorts. In my mind, if I'm staying in an Airbnb, I don't want the owner involved in my trip, right? I already have enough. I already have a list probably from them of what I have to clean, even though I'm paying a cleaning fee, right? I don't want an app that they're going to give me about staying there, right? So, that privacy as a renter or, that was very important to me as we were launching this. So the structure that we've applied, right? We're using obviously cloud services, and we're talking to right now as we build out and launch our AI, we're making sure that the information we're collecting is obviously, checking all the balances of policies and all, GDPR and stuff. But I think that we're looking at data, mobile data, to be very specific, right? Make sure that we're being very transparent, because we're not using any new data, right, as per se, that hasn't been available, normal mobile triggers where people are, stuff like that. But I think that what we're making sure that users know is that the data that we're using, they could always look up, right, how we're specifically using it, right? Like, we're going to be able to tell you that, okay, well, 5 people are at dinner that are on vacation in your group, 1 person stayed back for whatever reason. That right there is a use case where we're using AI to that if they pay for the bill and put that charge in the expense part of the app, that 1 person that wasn't at dinner isn't going to be involved in that charge, right? And they divide it up. So those are like, so we're making sure that it's very transparent how we're using their data. We're not selling it. That honestly, that we're essentially an on-trip data company, right? That no one else is, really on trip right now. And that's where everyone's trying to get. Airbnb is trying to get there. They want to be on trip. It's kind of hard because you've already charged people for accommodation. So it's kind of like, which side of the fence you on, right? So, I think that that's where we're unique and we have an advantage. Yeah.
So, I mean, innovation doesn't happen perfectly. It's not like every idea works. So I'd love to hear about what's something that didn't work, some failure, and how did you move past that?
Yeah, sure. So I would say a visionary, founder as far as being technical, right? I'm CTO, but I'm a visionary CTO. I can light code, right? So, it's been difficult to definitely map out some of what the result should be, right, with product, and not having someone that's, on my team that's fully in the trenches. But what's been interesting is that, we definitely had a initial failure in just being able to collect some of the data from users, because when you explain to them that you're doing an app that's for, it's almost like explaining to your grandmother what you're doing, right, for work. And so as I had these conversations, everyone's like, oh, so you're creating another Airbnb. I'm like, no. I'm like, once you get your accommodation, right, you then would download our app and use it to manage your trip, right? And they're like, oh, so your itinerary plan? Not really. We're about like, we could assign rooms and like, so when we were collecting that initial data, it was hard to have really the knowing what the right input to output would be from a technical standpoint, right? That would then translate well for a development team. But I think that was a founder experience, me learning, right? I've worked for other startups before. I have another startup before this startup that I was a co-founder of, right? That's in the film industry. So I've always been a technical seller, but when you're trying to translate user data coming in, and I think we had an initial hiccup for a little bit, and having an international outsourced dev team, it was difficult. That was definitely a failure where it was like, maybe we should have had, nearshore management. And so that was definitely a hard thing. It slowed us down probably like 5 months.
I can imagine. I mean, collaboration is hard with some of those time differences and things like that. The other thing that occurs to me, Will, you're stepping into the travel industry, which has some big players and maybe some institutional momentum going with it. What are some of the things that you found were challenges to disrupting that industry, and how have you dealt with those?
I love this topic because so my ties to the travel industry is, number one, I've traveled a lot of places, right? I've been, like everyone else. I can't say that it's unique, but what I could say is like, I am unique in, I've been an owner of multi-unit property rentals, Airbnb Superhost for 5 years, right? So like, I have that experience from that angle. Also, I've been, since age of 18, renting houses in this beach town and managing it as a planner since I was 18 years old. So, that's over 20, I'm not going to age myself, but it's over years. Okay. So, I've been around the block and I understand that. I love my passion as a founder is looking at other industries that I feel that you have an advantage over the people that have been stuck in that industry. Now, if you look at the travel tech industry, they're the slowest industry to adopt or to move faster, right, than, adopting anything. So I look at it, I'm coming in as an outsider. I have a way of looking at like, why are they doing it this way? It doesn't make sense, right? Like, so I think that's such an advantage. It also drives me to be passionate and also very like, I don't care about anyone else. It's like, I've already been told by other, travel tech founders that I've, became friends with that you're going to have to get in with this, group or this organization. And I'm like, but you have to pay membership fees. I'm like, I'm not paying any fees, right? Like, like if they want me to join, then they'll come to me. Like I'm not, I don't feel that I need to jump on the bandwagon in order to be in the industry, right? Because it hasn't limited us to making partners, right? We've already signed like over 80, contracts with partners to do actually same day or in trip, delivery of like tours and stuff like that. So it's not stopping anything, right? So I think that, reality is that me being an outsider, is a really beneficial thing. There are huge players. Those are, for us, those are all our exit and buyers. I mean, that's
fair. Yeah.
We're, like I mentioned earlier, we're B2C, but with the raise that we're doing right now, we're raising to execute our AI and then also white label and licenses to any accommodation platform, right, that wants to have a customized version of it, right? So you get your booking and then you basically get, HouseMthr app as your on-trip and in-stay co-pilot. That's the goal of it.
Love it. All right. So we're right here at the end.
Yeah.
What are the parting thoughts? What's the takeaway that you feel like people should have here?
Well, I would say yesterday I had a conversation that was with a friend of mine who I was just catching up, and he's like, "Oh, when are you going to do that HouseMthr app?" I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "It's been out since last April, right?" So I would say that please find me, please look it up. It's house without the E, right? Mother without the vowels, right? So housemthr.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, but please download it. It's $12.99 annually. It's for unlimited trips, right? We're actually, if you actually download it now, you have another week before subscriptions are in there. So, and we're thinking about those initial users as our,
Absolutely, yeah. Awesome. Well, Will, thank you for the great conversation. I was really happy to have you on the show.
Thank you.
For everyone else who's made it all the way to the end with us, thank you as well. We really hope you leave us a rating and a review before you switch off. And if you know anyone who is interested in the travel industry, who is looking to schedule a trip and could benefit from HouseMthr, take a moment and introduce them to Will and share this episode with them. Lastly, don't forget to take one actionable insight from today, apply it, let us know how it goes, because we'd love to hear about your progress. Will, thank you again. Everyone else, thank you as well. And we'll see you all next time on Breakthrough Innovation.
Thank you.